Hi everybody, it is Friday and I just wrapped up my first week of semester 2, which you might already know if you saw my earlier vlog this week where I kind of just talk about how I had a group of disruptive boys in one of my classes and I really needed to change my whole approach to their class. And that kind of brings me to this vlog today. I'm going to share with you everything that I've done. Not our first week of school, but if you teach high school or a quarterly class, just how I go about the very first week of us being together. I'm going to take you Monday through Friday. I know that when I first started off teaching, I would love to know what other teachers were doing, not just their first day, but the first week. I know I'm not the only one who occasionally will get a few disruptive students on that very first day. If you would like to know in more detail what I did to manage that, it worked out really well, by the way. I'm so glad that they're here, but that first day was rough. And if you would like to know in greater detail how I went about managing that and dealing with that behavior come days 2, 3, and 4, go ahead and check out my video prior to this one. But right now, let's jump into what I have been up to Monday through Friday with my juniors. It just needs to be said that there is no right or wrong way to do your first week of school, okay? There's a million and one ways to do this. I never do it the same way every year because I feel the class, I feel the vibe, I feel the time of year, I feel what's going on in the community, I feel myself. I take some of the same ideas, I take some tasks that I've done in the past, but it always looks a little different each year. There's no perfect way. Just keep in mind, buy-in, right? I want my students to want to be here. So whatever that entails, okay? And I don't mean want to be here in a we're gonna have fun kind of way. Yes, I want us to have fun, but in a way that we're going to learn. As long as you are creating a safe and welcoming environment that encourages learning, you're good the first week. On Monday, I have students come in, they join our Google Classroom. This saves me time. Some teachers go ahead and just do it on their own, and I feel like that just takes too long. I have students join themselves, and then if anyone is absent, things like that, I will go ahead and add them. But they log into Google Classroom and they take a student survey. But not only do I give them a survey, I will be going over the survey results with them tomorrow. While students are taking this survey, which is never anything more than 10 questions, and I always throw in 1 or 2 silly questions because I like to go over this with them as a whole class. And so when you throw in those goofy questions, it just makes it a little more entertaining when you ask questions like, how old do you think I am? I don't know, maybe it's just me. And while they're taking this survey, I can do things like address students who are lost or at least claim to be lost. Some legitimately are, some legitimately claim to be lost every opportunity they can so that they have an excuse to get to class late. It's just the truth. But I can deal with those types of things and also just get to welcome and talk to my students one-on-one. Sometimes I have the same students that I've had in the past and it gives us a chance to kind of catch up, but I think it's important that first day for students to have something to do because the first day can be a little bit hectic. On day 1, there are 3 routines that I emphasize, but I do not decide when I'm going to bring them up. I emphasize them in the moment that they are brought up. So the first time a student asks me to go to the bathroom, I'll stop and I'll explain our bathroom routine. And most routines I have to explain maybe 2 times before they really get it. Even something as simple as, yeah, just grab a pass and as long as you go 1 at a time, you're good. I still have to explain that 2 or 3 times, but they get it eventually. I will also go into depth on the first day, our lateness routine. I'll do this with the first student who's late, and I'll actually go over this all over again at the end of class just to make sure that we are aware of how you sign in when you're late and what comes with being late if it's on a consistent basis. Lastly, the routine that I must go over day 1 is our cell phone incentive and what they can expect about technology in this class. I love my cell phone incentive. I've talked about it many times. If you're struggling with student use of technology in your classroom, phones, earpods, all those things, you can check out that video. It's pretty short, it's pretty to the point. I've been using it for 2 years now and I haven't looked in any other direction. On day 1, I will do an icebreaker. I'll keep it really short though. By the way, I have 2 videos on icebreakers. There's some real goodies there. I use them over and over again. And one of those examples is what I'm giving right now. Agree or disagree. I had my students get together as best as they can in the middle here, and I read them 3 statements, and with each statement they had to stand on the side whether they agree or disagree with the statement, and then I busted out our handy classroom microphone And I asked students to explain why they were standing on the side they stood on. And it was just a really great warm up to speaking to everyone in class. And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of movement. I like to limit it to 3 questions because it could just get a little redundant, repetitive. You gotta stop while the iron's hot, keep them wanting more. You know what I'm saying? That's how it feels in my head. They do have an assignment on day 1, so after they are done the game, I will go ahead and I will present this all about me slide. It's basically a collage of pictures and things that I like with little captions on each one. And I'll talk about myself, but I'm not just talking about myself, I'm also modeling for them what their slide could potentially look like. You just stand by your slide, point to a few things and make some references to what you like, maybe what you dislike. I like this activity because it's an easy 100. I like when students begin the class with an A and they get 100 just by creating a slide and presenting it. On day 2, students will again grab a laptop. On day 2, this whole week, students are grabbing laptops pretty much every day because they don't have their supplies yet. We are going to go over this today. So they grab a laptop, they log into Pear Deck, and on Pear Deck, there is a Unit 1 question. I'm not ready to get into Unit 1 yet. I'm actually saving that for next week, but it doesn't mean that I can't at least introduce them to the topic or the big question. So on Pear Deck, I asked them a question about what it is they feel they contribute to their community. I model, I go over how I use Pear Deck, what I like about it, how their responses can be anonymous if they so choose, etc., etc. Now on day 2, I don't usually give an assessment. I don't. Usually on day 2, we're usually starting to present our slides for those of us who are done, and I ask them to write me a letter with certain criteria in the letter. If you're curious, you could check out my vlog on what I like to do on the first day of school. I go into great detail, but I couldn't do that this time around because I just kind of wasn't feeling the letter. Don't ask me why. Something about the slide and the letter, I usually am feeling it. For some reason, I just wasn't feeling it this time around. But instead of choosing something else, I went with an assessment because of the behavior. It wasn't terrible, don't get me wrong, but it kind of was at the same time. Not gonna go into what the behavior was like, but I really needed to take a few steps back. If you wanna know what I did, you could check out that other video. But one of the things that I did was I put in an assessment, and we also didn't do any icebreakers. No icebreakers on Tuesday. It was very much, we went over the syllabus, we went over some routines again, and I needed to give them the rest of the time in our 80-minute block to complete their pre-assessment. If you're already a teacher, you know about those SGOs. I decided to give their pre-assessment on day 2, which I don't usually do. I also created a seating chart. You see, on Monday, before they leave, I will tell them your seats are first come, first serve. And as long as we don't have any problems, I'm not gonna tell you where to sit. But you have to stay in the same seat for a period of time until I learn everyone's names, because if they're not sitting in the same seats and I don't have a seating chart, attendance can take forever. I did that with 2 of my classes. That other class, the one where I was having more behavior problems, I assigned their seats. They walked into an index card on a table. Some of them didn't even argue because I don't think they were surprised. Sometimes I look back on Monday and I think, how could I have been so frustrated with this class? Like, they're great. We just needed to get to know each other. And also, you know, they need to learn how to act right sometimes. I don't really know how else to say it. We talked about it, so I'll just leave it at that. I definitely left something out. I went over their survey results, and one of the things I love about the survey results is the moment where I get to share with them, based on their votes, I will share with them the novel they're reading. I'll say to them, I literally just figured out, based on your personal experience, what novel we are going to read in this class. And that's how I do things in here. I try the best that I can to choose text on your interest level. And I always kind of hope that this is a moment where they go, you know, she cares about what I want. She cares about what I think. She cares about what I'm into. A major takeaway that I got for this week off of that survey. So I think my final question is, how well can you write a 5-paragraph essay? And let's just say that in all 3 classes, they seem to be very honest with themselves, with me, in that they need help writing a 5-paragraph essay. It has never been clear, me starting off a class, that we need to start off at a very foundational level in how to write a 5-paragraph essay. So I found that bit of information very valuable for my 11th graders. Wednesday is a fun day as far as I'm concerned. So I give them the results from their tests. Now, what am I sharing? First of all, it's graded online. It's multiple choice, so that part is graded. But I do give them one open-ended response, and I make sure that I look at and grade every single one that day for 2 reasons. 1, just get it over with. Why drag it out? 2, because I want them to see and feel that immediate feedback. I use the word momentum a lot. I try to keep the momentum going the best that I can, and it's really good to show that right in the beginning. It's like, oh, I just took this test. Oh, I'm getting results. Oh, my teacher's paying attention to me. Oh, she's recognizing those of us who did really, really well. So basically what I showed them the following day was I took each class and I shared their overall class average, which they were all pretty close to each other. And I also shared the top 3 performers in each class. I'm not going to act like I always recognize our highest performers, but I really try to sprinkle that in throughout the semester because I just feel that they should be recognized. And I'd really like to share something with you. The highest performer, that class where I told you there were some behavior problems, the highest performer in that class was one of those offenders. The look on his face when he saw that he scored the highest, it was this look of shock. And I'm even looking at him too, like, I had no idea. Like, I don't know. It just gives you a chance to kind of have these moments with each other. Today is the day where we can talk about our About Me slides. And yes, do I get that nervousness, that shyness in the beginning? I do by some students, but to be honest, if I have a student who's really shy, I'll say, just give it a chance, right? Maybe I'll let them present from their seat, though I really push for them. This is like, if they just will not budge, I'll say, okay, from your seat. But I really prefer them to stand. But if they're standing up there and they're getting all tongue-tied and they look like they're sweating or like they're about to throw up, one of the things that I like to do is I'll ask them specific questions. What is that a photo of? Instead of just waiting for them to speak, start talking about music, start talking about food. Next thing you know, we have a nice little inside scope into their personality and who they are. And I just love it. And students get to present. And at the end of every presentation, I always ask students if they have any questions for who's up there. And you know that I have questions for who's up there. And this takes most of class. With any additional time, I say throw in another icebreaker. And on that particular day, my favorite icebreaker, we started, we didn't get into teams or anything like that, but each class, I introduced them to the rules of Hot Seat, which is a really fun game. It's in one of my icebreaker videos. Hot Seat for the win on Wednesday. On Thursday, I will continue on with any of their About Me slides. Maybe somebody was absent, maybe someone submitted theirs a little late, maybe we even got cut off for time, but we'll continue the About Me slides and then we will jump right into their state assessment. The one that we take, it's a reading assessment. It's called Link It. I know they take it for math as well. Anyway, I won't go into all the rules and directions and hoopla about that, but it is another assessment day, 2 major assessments. My goals for myself, I really try my best to explain to them why each assessment they take is important. I go over grading policy. For me, with the Link It, it's pass or fail, and I explain what that means, and I explain what happens the other times that they take it throughout our semester together. I just want them to know and have an understanding of why they have to take these tests. And that's one of the reasons I like to share the results with them the day before, because if you don't share the results, if they don't know how they did, they just don't care. I happened to luck out this week. Every class kind of finished up at the same time. We had about 5 to 10 extra minutes in class, and we played another one of my favorite games. It's so quick, it's so easy. I love this game. If you have an extra 3 to 5 minutes at the end of class, just take a whiteboard or a digital whiteboard, cut it in half, ask 2 students to go up to the board and put a timer on for 1 minute. And then you assign 2 judges or however many judges in the classroom, and you tell the judges, okay, I'm gonna give them something to draw, and you are going to judge who draws it best. I'm hoping that students sense, we have to get things done in here, but we can also have fun in here at the same time. And that brings us to today. Students came in today and we played, I haven't played this in a long time, probably about 2 years, 2 truths and a lie. Now, it's very hit or miss with this one. I feel like today it has been hit all day long, but I've also at times played 2 truths and a lie where it just doesn't go well. You really just need to get the vibe of your class, but today went very well. So their warm-up was they walked in, they got a little slip of paper. I did explain it to them, what they had to do. 2 things that are true about yourself. One of them is a lie. You're gonna sit in the hot seat, of course, and The class can try to guess which one the lie is, and you're going to share which one the lie is, and then you're going to take my index cards and you're going to choose the next person to sit in the hot seat. At my school, our students have a news station and they put out videos every Friday. I always play that for my students, so we watch that. But if we didn't have that, I would probably still play something for them. I'm not talking about a movie, I'm not talking about a show. I'm talking about something that's going to make them smile, something that they can look forward to watching in my class on Fridays. It could be an award-winning speech. The Grammys were just the other day, an inspiring speech. It could be an uplifting moment that happened recently. It could be something that's coming up for the halftime show during the Super Bowl, just something that we can watch and enjoy together that doesn't take up all of class, but that can initiate some good conversations. And at my school, it's our news station. We also played another game. I know I'm saying game, but we had 2 assessments, and even though we were doing very light things, I really wanted to get my students talking more. They have yet to work in a group. We are addressing the whole class, but we're not really talking one-on-one to each other. So I really want to end the week with something where they're working in a small group. So today I usually ask my students, I put them in little groups and I give them a paper clip. You might have heard this before. And I'll ask them, how many ways can you use a paper clip? And they look at me like I'm going insane. I did it a little differently today. So I put them in small groups. I said, okay, choose one member of your group who's going to be the writer. Choose another member of your group who's going to be the speaker. And then I give everyone a straw. Everybody gets a straw today. And they look at me like I'm nuts because I asked them, what do you think I'm about to ask you to do? Pen, paper, straw. What did the one kid say? Draw. I said, you're going to draw with a straw? And it was really funny. He had to be there. But I put the timer on for 3 minutes. I give them a marker and paper and I go, how many ways can you use a straw? Whichever team comes up with the most practical of answers wins. Their answers were hilarious. I was very pleased that everybody talked on the microphone. Some of us get a little shy with the microphone. I can really appreciate when a class doesn't want to do something, but they put themselves in that uncomfortable situation and they do it. I just feel like that's a really good sign of comfortability and feeling safe enough to go outside of your comfort zone in front of your peers, if you know what I'm saying. The icing on the cake or the cherry on the ice cream or whatever you want to call it is I'll say to each class at the very end, wow, you worked so well together. I really enjoyed watching you work in groups. I hope that next week when we're working in groups on a more academic level that I can see you still continue to work. You're all talking to each other, you're following directions. I will basically give them all the praise in hopes that that ripple effect blends into next week. And that is it for the week. We had 2 assessments out of the way. They took a survey. We got to know each other. They got to share with their classmates the information that they wanted to share about themselves. We had a bunch of laughs. They got to work in a small group. They did lots of things. I feel like it was a very productive week. We're comfortable with each other. And now we're ready to dive into Unit 1 on Monday. I think I'm done here. I hope you got something out of this. If you didn't get anything out of this, I hope in some strange way you were entertained and that I will see you next time.